focus. I am putting more political content, stuff that YouTube does not like, on Bitchute, and I know it's not monetized, but that's fine, and maybe it will be in the future. I get the feeling that it seems like more and more of the channels that I used to enjoy on YouTube just keep disappearing month by month. These channels that kind of got me into YouTube, they're gone. I mean, like 90% of the channels that were fun are on DLive and Bitchute now. And Bitchute doesn't censor the comment section, so that's like YouTube from about 100 years ago. And it's funny that the leftists force Twitter and YouTube to censor right-of-center voices, so they go to DLive and Bitchute. So those alt sites become known as the free speech sites, which attracts mostly right-wing people, which means it's an echo chamber that just keeps going to the right. Which, to be fair, that's what YouTube is going to end up to be too, but it's going to be a left-wing echo chamber. So both sides will be very polarized and will positively reinforce themselves. So you have these trapped political bubbles where people are less able to emphasize with alternative viewpoints because alternative viewpoints are not allowed on YouTube. It's strictly left-of-center content. And if these right-wing people were allowed on the mainstream sites, then they would get a diversity of thought in the form of rebuttal arguments. But free expression terrifies the left wing for some reason. The alt-left creates the alt-right. When you turn on the TV and every news channel is alt-left, I know there is going to be a pushback. Not only the news, but the shows are all anti-white, anti-male. People are going to eventually catch on to what is going on. Hollywood is controlled by commies. If you fight commies, they will call you fash. Congratulations, you've just created them. They aren't really fash, but since the commies don't make a distinction, why should you? Pretty soon, actual fash see a group called fash, so they join. The commies have made it socially acceptable to be fashionable. They went looking for an enemy long enough, and they found one, even if they had to create one. To everyone who thinks war is unlikely, no, it's almost a certainty. World War I, II, and Civil War all happened. If it happened once, it can happen again. Actually, because of social media, it's even more likely to happen. People can send a lie out to 1 million people in minutes. Unarmed black man yeeted by pigs. Is it true? It doesn't matter. Let's riot and loot. The riots are going to be commonplace until the rioters start getting arrested or ventilated. So far, 3 months since this all started, the police have been holding back, probably because Portland, Seattle, Chicago are blue states controlled by far-left Jacob Frey, Ted Wheeler types. If they crack down on the riots, it makes them look bad. It says that blue policies don't work, implying that Trump and conservative ones do. It also starts to pull the string that unravels liberalism in general. They ask, how did we get here? So people start looking at single moms, feminism, diversity, atheism, everything the cultural Marxists have pushed. All those hippy-dippy things that contribute to the decline of Western civilization, which is their goal, the destruction of the West. These far-left cities have been in a politically tricky situation. Most people are, after 3 months of riots, losing confidence in these blue mayors who look like they're in over their heads. But eventually, the mayors are going to have to send in the cops. They can't keep this up until November. The states are publicly saying that they don't want federal help from Trump because that's an admission of defeat. But they're hoping Trump jumps in anyway because then it makes Trump look like the bad guy when a few rioters get blasted. Kennesaw is going to inspire Portland and Seattle to get more destructive. It burned so far 2 car dealerships and some surrounding buildings. Portland needs to step their game up if they want to be taken seriously. That's how they think. Most of their behavior is attention-seeking behavior because they didn't have dads. Antifa kids have a certain look to them. They were never properly socialized because they were raised by pot-smoking single moms, so the normal, healthy kids don't like them. Their resentment grows. They latch onto a cult, fighting the fash. It gives them a sense of purpose. You can't look at their faces. You can look at their faces and see that they're doing hard drugs, harder drugs than just weed. Many of them are semi-homeless. Now, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm not going to call them losers. They are the result of liberal failure. It's not quite fair to call them failures. It's more accurate to say that their parents and grandparents failed them. They didn't fight hard enough against communism. They took the easier, softer path of just letting it happen. Without the moral center of religion or nationalism, a nation slowly starts slipping into corruption and degeneracy. Anything goes. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. A moral decadence of hedonism, otherwise known as entering the Weimar period before the war, that will hopefully reset everything. And don't get me wrong, it's too late to save America. People probably don't have the testicular fortitude to do what is necessary. America will just keep turning into Brazil. The best you could hope for now is for the country to peacefully separate into conservative and liberal zones. That probably won't happen. Things will just slowly get worse. Sorry for the black pill. Life will go on, but crime will creep up and quality of life will decrease. Who would have guessed that civilization couldn't handle social media and the smartphone? If a society is willing to accept dressing up boys as whores and having them dance around stage for groups of pedophiles, then that society is headed towards war, and rightly so. War is horrible, but preying on children is even worse. That kind of evil invites a great reset. Last night, some hippies discovered that if you fuck around, you will find out. The story of Kyle isn't so crazy. He wanted to help stop people from burning down a building. He was attacked. It was recorded from several angles. He hit the guy attacking him with a little high-velocity lead freedom. It's all on video. It's widely been circulated. Though Twitter now is shadow banning the videos. I just reposted one of the videos, and Twitter hid it. The media, I posted on my alt YouTube channel, and they age restricted the videos slowly one by one. The media is already giving him the Nick Sandman treatment. The usual suspects are calling him a fair-skinned supreme person. All right, this is the initial event that triggered the night. The guy throwing the bag, he's got a brick in a bag, and he's throwing it at him. He's chasing the man with the rifle. This is a 17-year-old boy. 2 or 3 guys are chasing this guy. So you've got 2 angles that are mapped to each other in time. And he turns around, and right there, he stops the guy who's been chasing him. This is what started it all. A mob went after him, so he blasted a few more people who attacked him. And it's all on video that has widely been circulated. The media is already giving him the Nick Sandman treatment. The usual suspects are calling him a fair-skinned supremacist. There's zero evidence for any of this. There's a video of him earlier in the night. He's with a group of guys. The guy doing the talking was black. But it won't matter to the David Fromm types in the media. They call everyone white supremacists, even black guys. They just want to be able to build a narrative that they are dangerous and need to have their liberty devices taken away. They have an agenda. Yes, there really is a master plan to destroy Western civilization. 2 out of the 3 guys hit were felons. One of them was in prison for 12 years for struggle snuggling a child, which is an odd coincidence because the black guy who got hit 7 times the other night also force hugged a child. I have to admit that I already forgot his name. There is always going to be a black guy getting yeeted by the cops. That is just a hard fact that everybody needs to accept. But to be fair, I do think that there's too much police violence. Cops get away with murder, and that needs to end. But America is also a very violent place full of diverse, violent people. When you have a diverse society, you have low trust, high crime. Diversity literally means to divide. It's not a strength, it's weakness. My point is that you're always going to have police violence. So if we're going to have riots every time a felon is blasted, then it's going to be about once a month. So if you're a building owner, you probably want to reframe those windows with brick and rebar, which is what I think you're going to start seeing. Cities are going to start looking much more fortified. Businesses cannot afford to be destroyed on a yearly basis. Cities are going to look like Russian architecture in the 70s. I don't see what choice they have. You can't have a first world nation without first world people. People on the left are saying that if you're not anti-fascist, you're a fascist, which doesn't actually convince normies to join your side, because we know that you guys are commies. All this has done is take the sting out of that word. People look at the Antifas and they see what racist assholes Antifa is. They start to wonder if maybe the fascists were the good guys. The real definition of that word doesn't matter, because the modern definition is anyone who isn't a commie is the fash. And God, I hate commies. They just can't help screwing up a good thing. Out of 1/3 of a billion people in America, 12 unarmed black men were yeeted by the cops per year. Out of 1/3 of a billion. And about twice that number of unarmed white people were also blasted by the cops. No riots for them, though. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening to this on YouTube or Bitchute, give me a sub, because subs on Bitchute are a bitch, and on YouTube, I do want to get to 1,000 before I get shown the door, so I can live stream off the cell phone. All right, guys, I'll see you all next episode.